The rain mirrors the storm inside me. It's always raining these days. Not just outside, but in my head. I built this life, brick by painstaking brick. A successful career, a beautiful home, a wife I thought I knew. We had a comfortable rhythm, a predictable happiness. Or so I believed. Lately, the silence in the house has become deafening. It's not the absence of arguments, but the absence of connection, of shared dreams. I find myself staring at photographs, trying to recapture a feeling, a spark that seems to have vanished. The blueprints on my desk, they represent a future I envisioned, a legacy I wanted to build with her. Now, they feel like mocking reminders of what's lost. I keep replaying memories, searching for the moment things began to unravel, but it's like trying to grasp smoke. The scent of roses, once a symbol of romance, now just smells like decay. I saw them across the street. It felt like a punch to the gut, a physical blow. The way she laughed, that bright, carefree laugh I haven't heard directed at me in years. The way he looked at her, with an intensity that made my blood run cold. It wasn't a casual glance, it was a gaze that spoke of shared secrets, of unspoken desires. They were holding hands, subtly, almost imperceptibly, but I saw it. The casualness of it all, the way they moved together, like they belonged to each other. It was a scene ripped from a movie, a cliché I never thought I'd experience. And yet, here it was, unfolding before my eyes, a stark and brutal confirmation of my worst fears. The vibrant energy of the city suddenly felt suffocating. The text message felt like a physical object, heavy and cold in my hand. Can't wait for tonight. It was simple, innocuous even, but it detonated inside me. The words echoed with a betrayal that cut deeper than any scream. Tonight. As if their clandestine affair was a planned event, a date night disguised as something else. I stared at the screen, rereading the message over and over, searching for a hidden meaning, a hint of regret. There was none. Just anticipation. The realization washed over me, a cold wave of despair. Years of shared history, of promises whispered in the dark, reduced to a single, casual text. The trembling in my hand wasn't just from the cold, it was from the shock, the disbelief, the utter devastation. The morning light felt cruel, exposing the emptiness in the room. The bed, usually a haven, now felt like a vast, desolate landscape. I found the scarf on the floor, her favorite silk scarf, the one she always wore on special occasions. It was a small detail, but it spoke volumes. A carelessness, a disregard for the unspoken rules of our life. I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling utterly lost. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the ticking of the clock. Each tick was a reminder of the time that had been wasted, of the future that would never be. I wanted to scream, to rage, but all that came out was a hollow ache in my chest. I wandered aimlessly through the park, the twilight mirroring the darkness in my soul. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of our life together. The paths we walked, the trees we climbed, the benches where we shared secrets. Now, those memories felt tainted, poisoned by the knowledge of her betrayal. I sat on a deserted bench, feeling utterly alone in the vastness of the world. The fallen leaf beside me seemed to symbolize the fragility of our relationship, the way it had withered and died. I wondered if she ever thought of me, if she felt even a flicker of remorse. But the silence offered no answers, only the cold comfort of solitude. The dinner table stood as a silent accusation. Set for two, as it had been every night for the past 20 years. The plates were spotless, the silverware gleamed, but there was no warmth, no intimacy. It was a stage set for a performance that never happened. I walked around the table, tracing the lines of the china with my finger. Each object held a memory, a moment of shared laughter, of quiet conversation. Now, those memories felt like shards of glass, piercing my heart with their sharpness. The empty wineglass seemed to mock me, a symbol of the unspoken words, the unshared secrets. The city lights twinkled below, a million tiny beacons of hope and happiness. But up here, in the darkness of my own despair, they felt distant and irrelevant. I took a sip of whiskey, the bitter taste doing little to soothe my pain. The city seemed so vibrant, so full of life, while my own world felt gray and lifeless. I wondered if she was down there, somewhere among the millions of people, living a life I wasn't a part of. The silence in the room was broken only by the distant hum of traffic, a constant reminder of the world continuing on, oblivious to my suffering. I picked up the wedding photo, the image of us young and hopeful staring back at me. It felt like a lifetime ago, a different person, a different world. We were so full of dreams then, so convinced that our love would last forever. Now, the photo felt like a cruel joke, a reminder of the promises that had been broken. A single tear rolled down my cheek, landing on the glass, blurring the image of her smile. It was a silent testament to the pain, the loss, the betrayal. I began to pack a suitcase, a futile gesture, perhaps. Where would I go? What would I do? The questions swirled in my head, unanswered and unwelcome. Each item I folded, each piece of clothing I placed in the bag, felt like a step away from the life I had known. A step into the unknown. The room was dimly lit, casting long shadows that danced around me like ghosts. I felt like I was dismantling my life, piece by piece, leaving everything behind. The highway stretched out before me, long and empty, a ribbon of darkness under the starlit sky. The car hummed with a monotonous rhythm, a soundtrack to my despair. I drove without a destination, just putting one foot in front of the other, trying to escape the pain. The darkness mirrored the emptiness inside me. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay where I was. I had to keep moving, keep searching for some semblance of peace. She's at the cafe now, across town. I saw her through the window, reading a book, seemingly oblivious to the storm I was weathering. She looked peaceful. It was a sight that twisted the knife in my gut. As if she'd simply moved on, erased the past, as if our life together had been nothing more than a fleeting dream. I wanted to confront her, to demand an explanation, but I knew it would be pointless. Some things are better left unsaid. Some wounds are better left to heal in silence. I walked to the beach at sunrise, seeking solace in the vastness of the ocean. The colors of the sky were breathtaking, a fleeting moment of beauty in a world of pain. I stood there for hours, watching the waves crash against the shore, feeling the cool sand between my toes. The ocean seemed to hold all the secrets of the world, all the joys and sorrows of human existence. I hoped that one day, I could find peace within its depths. I held the photograph in my hand, tracing the outline of her face with my fingertips. It was a simple act, but it brought a wave of emotions crashing over me. Memories flooded my mind, laughter, love, shared dreams. The photograph was a tangible reminder of what I had lost, a bittersweet echo of a life that was no more. I closed my eyes, savoring the feeling of her presence, even if only in memory. I started therapy, a hesitant step towards healing. Talking about it, articulating the pain, was surprisingly difficult. It felt like reliving the trauma all over again. But slowly, gradually, I began to unpack the layers of hurt, the anger, the betrayal. The therapist listened patiently, offering guidance and support. It wasn't a quick fix, but it was a start. A flicker of hope began to ignite within me, a fragile ember in the darkness. I spent time in nature, seeking solace in the quiet beauty of the forest. The sunlight filtering through the trees felt like a gentle embrace, a reminder that even in darkness, there is always light. I walked for hours, letting my thoughts drift, letting the peace of the forest seep into my soul. It wasn't about forgetting, but about accepting. About finding a way to move forward, to rebuild my life, one step at a time. I started painting again, something I hadn't done in years. It was a way to channel my emotions, to express the pain and the anger, but also the hope and the resilience. The blank canvas was a symbol of a new beginning, a chance to create something beautiful from the ashes of the old. Each brushstroke was a step towards healing, a way to reclaim my life, my identity. I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked at myself. The man staring back wasn't the same man who had walked into therapy, the man who had felt so lost and broken. There were still scars, yes, but there was also a newfound strength, a quiet determination. I had survived. I had endured. I was still here, and I was stronger than I thought. I sat on a park bench, watching children play. Their laughter, their carefree joy, was a balm to my soul. It reminded me of the simple pleasures in life, the things that truly mattered. I realized that healing wasn't about forgetting the past, but about learning to live with it, to find beauty and meaning in the present. It wasn't about replacing what was lost, but about creating something new. I started gardening, nurturing life from the soil. It was a meditative practice, a way to connect with nature, to find peace in the rhythm of the seasons. The flowers, in their vibrant colors and delicate beauty, reminded me of the resilience of the human spirit. Even after the harshest winter, life always finds a way to bloom again. I walked down the city street, feeling a sense of purpose, a sense of hope. The city felt alive again, vibrant and full of possibilities. The pain hadn't completely disappeared, but it no longer defined me. I had learned to accept the past, to forgive myself, and to move forward with courage and grace. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it. I stood on the hilltop, looking out at the vast landscape. The horizon stretched out before me, limitless and full of promise. I had come a long way, and I knew there would be more challenges ahead. But I was ready. I had learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And that sometimes, the greatest strength comes from surviving the most painful betrayals. The sun warmed my face, and I took a deep breath, ready to embrace the future.